Hello and welcome to another TOYBOX audio video demonstration video. We will be looking at the Synth Pack collection soon to be released, and in that collection there are 6 synthesizers and 3 sample playback machines, one of which is a granular machine, and all of those will also be available in a polyphonic collection, which we'll be looking at briefly in another video. Today, we're just going to look at the monophonic versions of all these synthesizers, which will be released in the Synth Pack. So let's get cracking. Number 1, mini synth. Let's just keep those on. Maybe they'll be useful. We've got the mini synth here, the single oscillator with self-FM and external FM input. The oscillator is this morphing oscillator which morphs between square and sine and triangle. It's a pretty powerful little beast, and coupling that with the warp selection, you can see we can squeeze and stretch and various kind of offset and syncing and hypering, folding and wrapping of the wave. And I think at the end we've got a noise generator which, based on your position in here, in this morphing variable, will change the kind of noise you're getting out. We'll have a look at that when we go deeper into the synth in another video. This is just a quick overview. So this is a powerful little oscillator which is included in these 3 synthesizers from this collection: mini synth, dual synth, and the FM synth. You can see they all have this blue circle with the wave morpher built into it. So back to the mini synth, what we also have in here is a single envelope, which is basically the amplitude envelope. That's what it's locked to normally. But it can also behave as a low-pass gate envelope. So if we turn the low-pass gate on up here with a little switch up there, you can hear there's a filter being modulated at the same rate as the amplitude envelope. There are some more controls in the back here, and they'll be discovered as we go in depth in another video more appropriately about the mini synth. Dual synth, like I say, is exactly the same, apart from it's 2 mini synths in one synth, and they can perform frequency modulation, cross-frequency modulation, meaning one can modulate the other. That's pretty wonderful for all you FM fans out there, and those who are keen on instabilities. What I should mention is that we have also these analog buttons here, which analog and drift knob, which introduces instabilities into the signal, which just make it sound a bit more analog-y, organic. When you start including feedback into the signal, it becomes very exciting and real. So looking back at this dual synth here, we have, as you can see, 2 oscillators, exactly the same, and between them the mixer, which is a powerful mixer which mixes signals in different ways. You can ring mod one against the other using an analog kind of signal process, do amplitude modulation, sample and hold, holding and awing the signal, which we'll look at closer when we have a look at these in another video. This is just an overview, like I say. Following that, we have the FM synth, which is, as you can see, 4 of these powerful oscillators with the wave morphing and warping mechanisms. These can all be modulated against each other using this, the powerful morphing algorithm router. Now, this is impressive. I enjoy this quite a lot because it has this feature which I've not seen before in FM synthesizers. It may be out there, but I've not seen it before. That is a morphing function, which means you can blend. I don't know if you can see these blue dots down here. These portray the routing. These describe the routing of the frequency modulation matrix. And as we slide through these, you can see the pattern changes, and these describe the different kind of routings, whether one oscillator is affecting another, or if it's affecting itself, or if it's not affecting anything at all, just going straight to and out. This is beautiful. This is great. We'll have a look at that in another video. But therein lies the power of the FM synthesizer. 4 multi-waveform oscillators with warping, and as you can see in the rear, these also contain multiple modulation routings, internal and obviously external as well, leading in from the A and B modulation sockets. We can also change the style of FM in the FM synth by using this knob. As you can see, it's either linear through zero frequency modulation, which is not what the DX was, the DX7s, etc. And we can flick it to basic phase modulation, which is what kind of people are more familiar with as frequency modulation FM synthesizers. Powerful stuff there. Okay, and let's look at... So these 3 synths share the same oscillator topology. They all have this morphing wave table, morphing wave cycle, which can be FM'd against the various different things within the synth. It's lovely. Okay, let's look at the other synthesizers, which are what I would call irregular oscillators. These are what I would call regular oscillators. And as it loads, I will speak. And as it finishes loading, we can see 3 new synthesizers. The quad synth, which is 4 phase matched sampled waves from a piece of equipment, which will remain nameless. But they've been, the signals have been phase matched together, so it behaves as close as it can do to algorithmically generated waveforms, but with a certain rawness to them. So these are basically, let's play through these. We have a saw wave, we have a pulse, we have a sub, which I believe sounds like a square to me, and we have a noise sample. Good for effects. You know what you can do with noise. Within this as well, also, we have the first sign of our ramps envelope, which is here. You can see there's a rise and a fall. So I'll show you briefly. So it's a ramp envelope with a rise and a fall. Obviously, otherwise there's no ramp. With that, you can describe cycling between the start and end point of the cycle. So if we've got a modulation there, I can see, let's increase that a little bit to 100 milliseconds, and this to 100 milliseconds or so. You should be able to hear the modulation of the ramp wave against the frequency of the oscillators. And we can invert that signal as well, and perform some other kind of clever little maths on it to make it a really useful little tool. There's also an offset adjuster that allows you to change the relationship between the rise and the fall, but maintain the same time period between the start and the end type thing. That should make sense. Also, we have a mix button up here because the ramp envelope also can run at audio rate, so could generate signals and could generate an audio rate signal and can be mixed against the raw signals coming in from the phased matched samples, and amplitude modulated or sample and held against this, the signal that's being generated from the ramp generator. So it's some very flexible routing here. After that is the squelch filter added in from the designer's pack. It's just a... Let's get rid of that modulation. Very characterful, resonant filter. Yeah, quite enjoy that. And of course, at the end, we have a regular amplitude envelope here, which also has a low pass gate. That's in combination with the squelch filter, adds a lot of sound shaping opportunities there. So see on the back, still some in-depth functionality here, the basic internal modulation options here, and some oversampling and kind of quality modes, bit of high pass filter. It's a nice analog sounding synth, and some of the presets, as you'll see, there are a lot of them, will keep you happy if you're not interested in making your own. Following on from that, another irregular oscillator synthesizer we have in our collection, being released in the synth pack coming soon, is the Supersaw Synth. Now this, as you'd expect it to sound, is a Supersaw, but with our various strengths of detune and unison, and the chords really lovely. And included in that, of course, we have the standard amplitude envelope here, which is locked into the low pass gate as well. As you can see, some basic modulation functionality here. One of the core things about this device is, I think it says in here, is it runs at 12 bits. And that gives a certain crunch to the Supersawness. So it's not beautiful. Well, I mean, I would say it's not beautifully clean, but it has the dirt that you might need to for your Supersaw to pop out of your mix a little more than some others might, possibly. And this the amplitude envelope, as like all the amplitude envelope, which I might not have mentioned in the past, I did actually, can have a cycle engaged, so you can loop these envelopes. But as soon as you do, the sound comes out, and I can shorten that. And that's a lot of fun. So that's the Supersaw Synth oscillator. Again, standard things. Got some FM in here. You can FM your Supersaw oscillator. That's great. The low pass gate offset. And the unison. The thick button, I think you'll find, is quite useful. Scale snap, I've already covered that, I think, in another video, but we'll take another look at that in the Supersaw Synth just to remind us of how genius the function is and how easy it is to make music with it turned on. Okay, that's the Supersaw Synth. Now this is the Multi-Breakpoint Synth. This is another fine irregular oscillator. As you can see, it is drawable. You can draw your oscillator. Let's just turn it on. with it, we also have we need a function to describe the curve between the points that have been described. So whether it's linear or curvy, we can shape that, or we can turn it the other way and make it completely square and flat. There's some other functionality here. I won't go into that here. It's quite a deep synthesizer, but we have this is a morphing function to morph between two breakpoint oscillators that you might have described. So if I complexify this one a little bit, we can see how it turns, how the blue background describes the sort of result of the warping and morphing of the waves. Also, we can warp them as we desire. Let's do a sync, up the sync, and you can see all those waveforms. Very nice. This knob is the sub shape. So if we turn the sub up, which is what I'll do, which is a mixer, you can change the shape of the sub. Which is lovely. And we also have some warp, sort of hard-coded warp modulation, taking its modulation from the ramp, again, which you'll see here, the ramp envelope. Lovely. Okay. And at the end of this, again, we have a lovely filter. Highly resonant. I think this is one of the few synths that has a collection of filter modes available to it. So you could have as you can see, the sub isn't passing through the filter. So we'll just turn it down for the moment. So let's turn the sub down. And we've also got some distortion pre and post the filter to add a little bit of grit and fancy to your tones, your nice clean tones. As I say, we've got a low pass filter on here and the final amplitude envelope, which can be cycled as well. Which we like, and all of these envelopes have velocity detectors, so they'll be triggered by the velocity as they need. Okay, I think that covers them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.